Football rapidly approaching. Not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. There was a segment on Max Kellerman, I think. I don't know. I really don't pay attention, honestly, to the names of the channels. But they were saying how bad of a head coach Mike McCarthy is. You know, why is nobody calling out Mike Tomlin? And before the Steeler fans get all butthurt, it's not the Steelers organization I'm saying. Mike Tomlin as a coach. Why is nobody calling him out? You know, Mike McCarthy and Mike Tomlin are pretty much the same head coach, except Mike McCarthy actually beat Mike Tomlin head-to-head in the Super Bowl. And, it's just, Mike Tomlin hasn't done anything in the last 12, 13 years. I mean, let's take a look at Mike Tomlin. Despite, first of all, he gets blown out in the Super Bowl by the Packers, which at the time, you take away Aaron Rodgers, they're a 3-13 team all day long at that time. And he loses to Tim Tebow in the playoffs. Hey, say what you want about the Bengals. We didn't lose to Tim Tebow in the playoffs. Lost TJ Yates. That's probably just as bad. But anyway, he loses to Tim Tebow. Then he gets beat at home by Blake Bortles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, absolutely gets destroyed. And I know they came back a little in that game, but by then no one cared. It was too late. And he's lost to Terrell Pryor for the Raiders at the time, who's no longer in the league. He lost to our backup quarterback in a meaningful game against Ryan Finley. That's just to name a few. He was going to lose if Vontaze Burfict doesn't act up in that playoff game. He was going to lose to A.J. McCarron. But there was a lot of issues going on in that game that gave the Steelers the game. So, for everybody, you know, what I'm just saying is if you're going to call out all these head coaches, but not Mike Tomlin, I mean, where's the justice in that? And you want to know why nobody calls out Mike Tomlin? Well, let's just address the elephant in the room. You know and I know what I'm about ready to say. Black privilege. Can't call him out. You can't say nothing because now all of a sudden in this country, especially in 2023, if you criticize an African American at all, you're considered racist. See, and this is what I'm talking about with like the being divided in this country. And like I said, yeah, Pittsburgh has had a great team, great organization. I actually liked Ben Roethlisberger, you know, but, and they hang their hats on that Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to have a losing season when you're surrounded by Hall of Fame talent. I mean, Mike Tomlin was handed a freezer full of the best cut prime rib you could ask for. I mean, it's kind of hard to come in last place when you're handed a freezer full of steaks. You know, that would be like a chef saying, I cook the best steaks in the whole restaurant. I'm brand new at this, but I get the best cut meat handed to me. I don't got to buy it. So, if we're going to call out, and Mike McCarthy is not a great coach, I will admit, but if we're going to call out all these people, why are we not calling out somebody like Mike Tomlin, who hasn't done anything in 12, 13 years? And like I said, nothing against the Pittsburgh as an organization and their success, but I'm just saying, let's just call it the way it is. Mike Tomlin hasn't done anything in at least the last 10 years. Not at all. Aaron Rodgers should buy Mike Tomlin anything he wants because that's the only reason Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl ring was because of Mike Tomlin. So, Mike Tomlin is not a good head coach. He was fortunate enough to inherit a Pittsburgh Steelers team that was in their prime, and it was impossible to beat them. They had a number one defense. They had a number one offense. They have Hall of Fame wide receivers, a Hall of Fame quarterback. So how can anybody sit here and say Mike Tomlin's a good head coach? We see what he's doing without Roethlisberger. I mean, we've seen it with Roethlisberger the last 2-3 years Roethlisberger was there. I mean, no. Terry Bradshaw called him out a couple years ago, but nobody wants to call out Mike Tomlin because they don't want to be called a racist. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. This is what I mean, but when I say, everybody wants to talk about white privilege. Well, there's just as much black privilege as there is white privilege. Because you can't call out somebody like Mike Tomlin because you'll be called a racist. You get people like Stephen A. Smith that are loud and obnoxious. Stephen A. Smith is one of them guys where he thinks the louder he is, the smarter he is. And no. Actually, there's an old saying, the loudest guy in the room's the dumbest. So, yeah. Anyway, that's a different subject. But yeah. Mike Tomlin, if Mike Tomlin was white, he would have been fired 10 years ago. But Pittsburgh don't fire coaches. And like I said, that's what it is. Like I said, Terry Bradshaw called him out a couple years ago and said, no, he's not a good head coach at all. Look it up. I want somebody to call out Mike Tomlin just one time. Hey, yeah, Pittsburgh, I know you got 6 Super Bowl rings. You know what? So does Dallas. Well, Dallas has 5. So does New England. That's like Dallas saying we got 5 Super Bowl rings. No one gives a shit. The past is the past. Mike Tomlin's not a good head coach. That's just the way it is. And I want to see somebody just call him out once. That is the one coach that I've seen that can literally get by with everything and nobody calls him out. But they'll call out Mike McCarthy if he has one bad season. They'll call out Bill Belichick after he loses Tom Brady after having him 20 years. And the first year he was gone, everybody bailed on him because of COVID. And now he's dealing with the quarterback Mac Jones, for crying out loud. And now everybody's saying, well, Bill Belichick couldn't coach. It was all Tom Brady. But yet, we'll let Mike Tomlin slide. I don't get it. So, just my 2 cents. If we're going to call people out, we got to call everybody out. See, the problem is, you got to understand, not all, but it seems like for some reason, whatever it might be, people think that the word racist can only be applied to a white guy. That only a white guy can be racist. And that's simply just not the case. There's just as many racist African Americans out there, but you just don't hear about it because they sweep it under the rug. But I'm telling you, man, the instant, and I mean the instant, a white guy even looks at a black guy wrong, we're considered a racist. And when I say we, I'm not trying to separate the race. I'm just saying that it's just the way it is. So yeah, Max Kellerman, Skip Bayless. First of all, have you ever noticed, like Stephen A. Smith, there's a reason Max Kellerman and Skip Bayless and Shan Sharp, none of these guys want to work with him, because he's a loudmouth. And he thinks the louder he is, the smarter he is. No, I'm sorry, it just makes me laugh. Sometimes I watch Stephen A. Smith when I want a good laugh. So, anyway, I'll be bringing you football picks this year, obviously, and let's see how it goes.